مسك Batra Daf, Kuf Samach Zayin, Amul Aleph, 3 lines down. Amar Abaye. Abaye said, Haman Ba'il Mahtumati Hadeb Bedin. If someone wants to show a sample of his signature to Bedin, Lo Lahbe Bisav Megillah. Don't stand at the end of the scroll. Dima Meshkach Le'achir, because someone else can find it. V'kativ Demasik Bezuz, and he'll write that that guy owes you money. And then what happens is, Utna Mishnah holds, if a person has a document that has your signature that you owe him money, go and you collect from unliened properties. So we see, don't just sign your signature on the bottom of a document. Do it on the top. I hope isn't it there was a Jewish guy who collected tolls. That's like he told him, look at this trickery. Rabbi, come show me your signature. When Hachamim come, mahvuli, show me a request signed by you. So I want to recognize your signature, and they'll be patur from paying taxes. Abaye tried to write it on the top of the scroll. While he was signing, the guy tried to tug it so that he writes it on the bottom. Abaye says to him, Hachamim already saw your trickery ahead, and I know only to sign the top. If the number from 3 to 10 has to be written in a document, don't let it right at the end of the line, because the guy can write additional letters and make it even more. Like, so if let's say Aramaic, you have tlat, which is 3, you add in a yod nun, then it becomes 30, tlatin, and etc. etc. But it happens at the end of the line. You should reiterate the number a few times later on, and eventually it'll be in the middle of the line, and you'll see that it says the correct number of, let's say, 3. So even if the guy tries to change one at the end of the line, reiterate it and rewrite it a few times throughout the document and make sure that it's accurate. There was a guy on a document, and he wrote, "I'm selling to someone in my garden a third of the orchard, bepardesa, in the orchard." Azal, what happened? The guy did. He erased the top and the bottom of the bet of the bepardesa, upardesa. Now it looks like a vav and the garden. Sounds like a third of the garden and the entire orchard. Amarle told him, "My time, how come there's so much space after the vav? It looks suspicious." He tied him up and he tortured him or yelled at him. And the guy confessed what he did. How would have a there was another guy who had documents. Minat Reuven v'Shimon Ahe. The portion of the land it belongs to Reuven and Shimon brothers. Ahe, sold to someone else. Reuven and Shimon had a brother whose also was Ahe. So they wrote on it that they are brothers, but they had a brother also named Ahe. As of a katav vav, he put a vav into the document before the word Ahe v'shaveh ve'ache. So now it's like, and Ahe was part of that deal. So now the opposite happened. The inverted situation. He's like, why does the vav look squeezed in between the letters? Kafteh, he tied him up. Oh, then the guy confessed. Ahush the document. They had these names. That's my signature. I never signed in front of Acha. Kafteh, they tied the guy. Oh, then he confessed. I told him, if you make sense, you forge my signature because it's easy. But his signature, he trembled. His hands trembled because he was old. Hey, how did you manage to forge that? He told him, he answered him, I put my hands on the rope of a rope bridge, which shakes a lot, and he signed, so therefore it looked naturally shaky. Or that's people say, he stood on top of like a bottle and signed, and therefore the shaking of the bottle shook his hand. New Mishnah, Kotvin get she write a get for a wet man, Alpha Pisha in Ishtemo, even if the wife's not there. Shovar the Isha, you correct the receipt for the woman, Alpha Pisha in Ba'ala Ima, even if the husband's not there. As long as you recognize them. Well, explain what that means. The buyer pays the fee, the sofer's fee for the preparation of the get, because it's his. We'll explain why. Kotvin Shadal read a loan document for a borrower of Pisha in the lender's not there because the lender's nothing to lose. According to the you can't write it for the lender unless the borrower is there because he stands to lose. But the borrower who is benefiting has to pay. That's what first see. Kotvin shtar lemocher, you write a sale lemocher vazela af pisha en lokech mo if the buyer's not there. The en kotvin lokech, you don't buy for you don't write it for a buyer. Actually mocher mo unless the seller's there because he could lose out. But lokech into zachar and the buyer who is benefiting pays the sofer fee. En kotvin shtar erusim you don't write the documents of marriage or betrothal or engagement elamidat unless they're both there. The hatan noten zachar the groom pays the fee. En kotvin shtar erusim you don't write a sharecropping or tenant uh farm tenants documents. Elamidat unless they're both there. V'hamekabel noten zachar and the tenant pays the fee. All right, so we see the common denominator is the one who's benefiting more. And you don't write a document of berurin, whatever that is. Or any court judgment, and they're both there. They both pay the fee. Rashbag says no. We write two documents for the two litigants. They each have their own, right? The stenographers would write down what they each argued, and he says, Rashbag hold it. No, you write the A's Reuven's arguments on Reuven's paper and Shimon's arguments on Shimon's paper, and they keep it. They don't want them to have each other's. Going back in the Mishnah, the Gemara asks the first question. What do you mean you recognize them? You have to recognize the name of the man in the get. The name of the woman in the receipt. Ask the questions. Shem ha'ish beget in. You only need to recognize the man in the get. Shem isha v'lo. You don't need the woman. Shem isha shugar in. You only need to recognize the woman in the receipt. Shem ish lo, not the man. Maybe you should be worried. Maybe a guy will ask a sofer to write a get. He'll bring it to the wife of another guy who has the same name. Similarly, a woman can also do the same thing. She'll go to a sofer, ask for a receipt. She'll give it to a man who's not her husband, and they have the same name. And then the guy can claim that he paid the ketubah. Rav says that Shema Ish beget v'hu hadin l'Shem Isha. Shema Isha b'shuva v'hu hadin l'Shem Ish. Really, no. You have to recognize the husband in the get and the woman and the name of the woman in the receipt and also the man. Maybe there's two guys, same name, Yosef and Shimon, living in the same town, with the same wives' names. Maybe he'll write a get without the woman there and then just bring it to the other guy's wife. Because the same name, because of that situation, and people have the same name, with the wives of the same names, they have to get divorced in the presence of each other. Maybe the guy and his wife will travel elsewhere. He'll change his name to Yosef ben Shimon. He'll introduce himself for a while. He'll write a get with his new name. And then he'll bring it back to the town with that guy's name, and nobody will even know this guy is identifying as this new name that is identical to this guy. Whoever's name has been established in the town for 30 days, we're not worried about him. Where it says, what if he's not established for 30 days? Can you identify it quicker? Yeah, you want to check out if a guy told you his name. If he says his name is Yosef, you go over to him, he's Yosef. If he turns around quickly, then you know it's his. Rav said no. A guy who's tricker, a guy who's a scammer, he'll be very good. He won't even turn around if you try to trick him, and therefore that trick won't work. Mossad agents. There was a guy, a receipt written with Rabbi Yirmiyahu Abba on it. He eats that. The woman came to him. She said, "Love, I didn't sign. I didn't ask you to sign this." He said to her, I also told witnesses, I told the witnesses this is not you either. They told me, it is her, she got old. And her voice got deeper. And he says, yeah, and it looks like you, and yeah, it looks like you got your ketubah now that you have the receipt. I said, even though Hachamim hold, that once a guy testifies, he cannot change his testimony. Hachamim, who don't usually gaze at women and they don't check them out fully to see who it is or how they look exactly, they can change their testimony because once he checks and makes sure, it might change his opinion. How got out of the receipt? When the receipt was presented, she said to him, it was you. It says, even though you could say the opposite, oh, maybe he didn't recognize it because he didn't check. Once he checked, and therefore she's not believed to disrupt that receipt.